So moving forward, let's look at some of these other tools. We've got the track selection tool here, which is just a very quick way of moving things in the track. So if you take the track selection tool, notice its keyboard shortcut is A, you can click in a track and everything to the right of where the arrow is will be selected and moved, no matter how long the track is. So you can move it around, shift it, whatever you want to do. If, however, I want to leave this first clip, if I click here, everything to the left is unaffected, but to the right is affected. So it's a very quick way of moving things around, moving whole tracks. If you've got hundreds of clips that you want to move all of them, and you're not too happy about marquee selection, which I'll show you in a moment, you want to have everything on a track, you can literally select it here, and you can hold the shift key, and you'll notice that you can get multiple tracks. So holding the shift key, I get 2 arrows, and basically all of my tracks will now move together as one lump, which is an incredibly useful way of doing things, particularly if you've got a very long timeline and you're not happy with marquee selection. What do I mean by marquee selection? I simply mean choosing the selection tool, which is the keyboard shortcut V, and drawing around items, selecting them all and then dragging them around. Now that's okay when you've got a small amount like this, but when you've got a very long timeline with multiple tracks and you suddenly want to move all of them around for whatever reason that might be, you can choose the track select tool, select one layer, or hold the shift key, select all of them by clicking, and then all of them will move together regardless of how many layers there are and regardless of how long your timeline is. So a very useful tool for shifting things around. The next tool to show you is this one here, the razor tool, which is where we can cut clips up. So you can see I've got a little cut here, and if I click here again, I've cut the clip up. Now very rarely do I use the razor tool. If I want to change a clip, I tend to use either a ripple edit or simply a trim to trim things backwards and forwards to the appropriate place. But if you actually need to physically cut something out of a clip, then you can use the razor clip before and after, actually select the bit that you want to move or get rid of, and then if you right click on it, you'll see that you've actually got an option here that even says ripple delete, and that will get rid of any space. If you just clear it or cut it, you're going to find that you end up with a gap, Control Z, but if we actually do this ripple delete, it gets rid of the actual space as well, and then we don't have a problem. So I tend not to use the razor tool very much. There are times occasionally when you need to use it, but they aren't very often. Now before I get to these 3 other tools, I just want to show you the 3 at the bottom. The pen tool is actually used for creating keyframes. Now I'm over a yellow line here. We haven't done animation, and I'll get to animation a bit later on, but if I click on one of these yellow lines, I create something called a keyframe, and then we can move those keyframes around. So the pen tool really is for editing when we want to change values over time. And Control Z, and we'll use the pen tool for that. The panning tool, or the hand tool, which is keyboard shortcut H for hand, doesn't work up here in the program monitor, but it does work down here for quickly panning your scenes or your long timelines backwards and forwards. Of course you can do that with the scroll wheel backwards and forwards, and you can move backwards and forwards by using the pan bar down here, the new zoom bar function. So quite how much you'll use the hand tool I don't know, but if you want to have a very quick move around of your whole scene and whack it backwards and forwards because you've got a very long timeline, then maybe you'll want to use the hand tool. The zoom tool works as another way of zooming in and out. Now obviously we've got the new zoom bar at the bottom for zooming in and out, and we can move that around to find different bits and pieces. But the zoom tool itself allows us to do some very fine zooming. So say I just want to see this area, I can click and drag around the bit that I want to look at, and it zooms into it. And again, if I just want to look at that bit, we can zoom right into individual edits. To go backwards, if you hold the Alt key on the PC, the Option key on the Mac, you'll see that the plus in the middle of the tool goes to a minus. If you click, 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 keep clicking, and effectively this is just going to zoom out all the way. So it's another way of zooming in and out, as well as the plus and minus keys, which are the 2 keys next to the 0 on a normal keyboard, which allows us to zoom in and out. So it's just another way of being able to choose different tools to be able to move in and out or pan around your scenes quickly and easily in Premiere Pro. Now in the next tutorial we're going to look at this tool here, which is one of my favourite ones, the rate stretch tool, and then we're going to move on to looking and understanding what the difference between a slip and a